Oh my God! Oh my God, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Insert Michael Scott meme. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. MCU officially now looking for a writer for X-Men the movie. Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is actually happening. It is official. Deadline coming out with an article to find that right writer for this project. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Excuse me. Hello? Kevin, what's going on, man? It's good to hear from you. Yeah, I did see that Deadline article. Yeah. I am interested. I am very interested. You want to hear my idea? Sure. Yeah. No, I have a lot of them. Okay, well, what I was thinking of is, like, obviously we got to stick close to the source material with a few minor tweaks just to help adapt it to the movie screen. And then we can... Hello? Kevin? He hung up. I don't think I got the job, guys. I don't think I got the job. That is unfortunate, but I'm sure somebody else will get the job soon. And now the search is on. So in this video, I want to go over this news with you guys here today. Maybe at the end of the video, talk a little bit about the writing problems that the MCU does in fact face. And I think I can add a little bit of extra context into some of the conversation that has been had out there. And then also, more importantly, for what you guys are interested in, ask ourselves the question, is now going to be a good time to pick up an X-Men #1 or a giant-sized X-Men #1? You guys probably know the answer already. You certainly know my answer to that question, but we're going to do the work anyways, and we're going to take a look at some of those values. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Help support the channel, doing those things. But let's get into this video here today. Now, here you see the article on Deadline just came out earlier this morning, right after the writer's strike. I mean, I feel like this could be a trend that we sort of see where, now that the writer's strike is seemingly over and the actor strike is going to be over soon, we're probably going to be getting caught up with a lot of some of the announcements and stuff. I mean, maybe there's casting things that'll roll out when SAG figures it out. But let's talk about this article here today. Marvel Studios execs eye meetings soon to hear writers' pitches for coveted X-Men job, The Dish, by Justin Kroll right here. I do like that they actually use the image of X-Men #1 up here. That's a nice little touch in the article. It's not a very long one, not too much to unpack with this one, but let's read it anyways. With a deal in place with the Writers Guild, studios have begun taking aim at setting writers for their open assignments. Marvel Studios is looking to set the bar with what will likely become one of the more sought-after jobs for any scribe. Sources tell Deadline that Marvel will start setting writer meetings later this fall for pitches on its anticipated X-Men movie. Insiders add that there's no rush to fill the job since the film hasn't been dated yet, and it's more likely that a writer decision will be made at the top of 2024. Marvel declined to comment. While it will still be a bit before the X-Men movie makes it to theaters, the news that Marvel has started development on the live-action pick is sure to excite fans of the franchise who have begun begging for a new movie since Disney's acquisition of Fox back in 2019. The X-Men universe was by far the most popular and profitable Marvel IP for Fox, with the 7 films and successful Wolverine spin-offs after a disappointing Dark Phoenix 2019. The article goes on to talk about a little bit of the history and the nuance and X-Men 97 and Ms. Marvel being a mutant. We don't have to belabor it. You guys already know what it is. Here we are now getting X-Men into the MCU, and this is going to be a pretty exciting announcement, I think, in the cultural landscape of things. I think in the comic book collecting market, I'm sure that this is going to have some interest. I mean, a lot of people are going to be excited to be able to make sales on their X-Men books in the wake of this announcement. But do we think that this announcement is actually going to be able to turn around the comic book market and make giant-sized X-Men go to the moon from here on out? Well, I'm not so sure about that. As we've talked in our videos many times, of course, I believe that the macroeconomic policies have a lot more to do with the values of comic books than, say, movie announcements and cultural events and things like that. I mean, what I will say is that this sort of announcement, this kind of hype, can have a temporary relief into some of the books in the market. And if I pull up some of the graphs, we can actually make that determination. In fact, it's not too dissimilar from when we actually got the Hugh Jackman announcement of Wolverine going into Deadpool 3, where we did see a lift for Hulk 181. But I'm going to show you guys some of the Hulk 181 numbers, and we're going to see that, that was only just a temporary lift. But of course, the main books we got to talk about here are X-Men #1, first appearance of the X-Men team. I mean, one of the all-time great Silver Age books right here. You get 6 first appearances of all the X-Men characters, including Magneto. 4,496 universal copies, 6,000 total graded. Definitely on the higher end when it comes to Marvel Silver Age. 9/8 have 2 on the census. But let's go down here to the lower end of the spectrum where we see, more sales and more data to pull from. Let's focus in on the 2.0 right here. 300 on the census, fair market value 5,750, but 30-day moving is 5,200. And you can see that even a book like this that is a, blue chip grail still is feeling, the downward effects of the current market. I mean, one of the interesting discoveries I had in doing my index was that, I was of the belief that maybe the books like AF-15 or Hulk 1 or X-Men 1 would be able to sort of survive, but that certainly wasn't the case. I mean, there just is still too many copies for the market to actually absorb. And if we look at this book at the 2.0 range, back in August of 2020, this was a $4,300 book, and I would say that, in this current market, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for it to dip back down to that $4,300 price point. I mean, there have been times when this book has sold recently at the $5,000 price point, and we did see one go here at $4,900, so under the $5,000 price point. And I think if you talk to a lot of people who are bullish on this book, they would have said to you that no way would this book ever drop below $5,000. I mean, at a certain point, this was an $11,000 book at the height of COVID, and for a long time, it was hanging around that $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 range. But we have to remember that there's always going to be a book that comes up for sale at least once a month. I mean, you can see here September, August, June, April, March. So enough copies that are always going to test the floor at auction especially. And you can see that all these books are auction ones. Everybody has to make a sale on their X-Men #1. So do I think that we're going to get a temporary lift in the market for this book? Yeah, I do think so. I mean, I think that we'll get a couple sales on this. I think there's going to be a lot of people that with this announcement are going to try to capitalize on this hype. But do I think that now is going to be the best time to buy it? No, I think that if you wait still another few months, that's going to be the absolute bottom of the market. And really, you have to pay attention to those interest rates. Now, it is interesting when you think about, some of the higher grades of these books. I think what we're starting to see is that for these blue chips, it's a little stickier at the higher grade level. Back in November of 2020, this was a $10,000 book. I'd say by our model, for what we've been seeing with our charts and stuff in the index, that $10,000 is not out of the question of what the value should be for this book today. It's still been holding, pretty steadily at that $12,000, $13,000 range. But you can see here in 6-10, there was actually a $10,000 sale on Comic Connect. So it is possible that these books do fall to that price. Here's another one earlier in March that went back down to the $9,488 range. So an actual sale this year that was less than that of the end of 2020. And I suspect that there's going to be a few more of those types of sales in the coming months. All right, let's take a look at the other book right here that's obviously going to have a lot of traction coming off of this news. Giant Size X-Men #1. You guys, of course, know this book. Also the first appearance of many X-Men characters, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Thunderbird, everybody's favorite X-Men character. This one is a little bit of a different story. Obviously, it's a Bronze Age book, 11,790 universal copies, 13,000 graded. I mean, even the 9/8 level has 230 copies in it. So there's always going to be a lot of books like this up for sale, but the demand is also very high for this book. I mean, it is definitely a great key to have in the collection. And you can actually see, again, going off of our model at the end of 2020, this was like an $1,100 book here at the 4.0 range. We've seen a few sales recently go around that $1,275, $1,200 price point. And I would say that that's probably where this book should go. I mean, could it actually dip all the way back down to the $1,000 price point? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Now, let me quickly just talk about Incredible Hulk 181. You guys know this, second appearance of Wolverine here. Universal copies, 13,753 universal, 17,000 graded. I mean, so many on the census. And I'll just pull up a random grade right here. Let's go to the 4.0 range and let's talk about, the Hugh Jackman announcement and how that had an effect on the market. And you'll see that, even with that announcement, it's only temporary relief. Back in September of 2022, I believe is when we got the Hugh Jackman announcement. And this book was still a $3,000 book. So in theory, you would say, oh, everybody knows Hugh Jackman is coming. Everyone's hyped about Deadpool #3, that, this pop cultural thing is going to inflate the value of this book. But that's actually not the case. I mean, that day, there were probably a bunch of sales that went for more than fair market value. But ever since then, it's been on the slide to where now the book is selling, this previous sale here at the 4.0 range at the $2,300 range. I mean, I've seen so many sellers trying to sell this book for, $3,200, and I can understand why, because here you can see a fixed price went for $3,179. So there are buyers who are willing to just pay whatever people are asking for, even though the auctions are going to go sort of slip through the cracks, so to speak. And that's one of the things I'm trying to point out here, is that because there's so many on the census, there's always going to be books that go up for auction, that we should suspect that the 2020 price of $2,000 is very, very possible for a book like this. So again, I say all that to say this, with this announcement, it's very, very exciting. I think we are going to see a lot of X-Men books getting sold out there in the market, a lot of hype, a lot of temporary excitement. But again, we're still so far away from this movie actually coming. We're so far away from any other traction coming with this film, and we still have the economic market to consider, and that's still going to push some of the prices down. But again, that doesn't mean that you can't buy this book now. If you see it being sold at a good deal and you do your homework and you're able to find that right price, you're not going to be too hurt overall. Either way, it is very exciting news, and hopefully the writer that they actually do find for this project is able to thread the corporate needle of writing within a studio system. This is something I haven't spent a lot of time talking about here on the channel. I'm not really sure if you guys are interested in this type of content, but certainly, I know enough to know what kind of work it would take to execute, some of these scripts within like these studio systems and stuff like that, especially, in combination with all the tech industry that has been, infused into entertainment and filmmaking. It is a really difficult task. I mean, a lot of people out there complain about, all the bad writing going on. And yeah, there is a lot of bad writing and probably people that shouldn't have some of these positions. But at the same time, some of the things that they have to deal with has to be extremely difficult. And I'd be happy to share, some of those pain points and stuff if you guys are interested in hearing about that in some other video. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. What do you guys think about this announcement? Are you excited? Do you guys FOMO purchase all those X-Men #1s on eBay right now? Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one.